Hello everyone, welcome to my live stream. My name is Denise Hutchins and I'm broadcasting to you from Studio Mikarts. Our charity of the month is Paloma-C, and you can help me, help them, help the pigeons in two ways. One, just watch my stream, there's only 2 days left, and bring your friends because I'll be making a donation at the end of the month based on my unique viewers count. You can also donate to our Twitch fundraiser. We already have 10 of $20 because last year we did a $10 goal and we met that goal. So there's $10 added on for this year. Again, there's only 2 days left, so if you can, please donate. If you don't want to donate through Twitch, you can also find the link to Paloma-C in my About section here on Twitch, and you can just donate directly to them that way. That would also be awesome. The pigeons will appreciate it. Today is Wednesday, which means it's time for some illustration work. As you can see, I have this piece up that I was working on 2 weeks ago. We left off, I think we basically cleaned up the lines maybe? No, there's a little bit here. I'm not sure exactly what we did. Maybe nothing more than making a copy of the background and saving it. Oh, I think what we did, because it looks pretty nice and clean, I think what we did was remove the blue and choose a nice balance between black and white here. I think that's pretty much what we finished off doing last time we worked on this. So I'm hoping to finish this today because this is going to be Patreon rewards for October. Yay! For anyone who hasn't been following this series of illustrations, it's my Maginaturalist sketchbook. The story is a Maginaturalist, so a naturalist but for magical creatures, traveling the world and documenting in image all the magical creatures she encounters. What I'm actually doing is using my, what is it called? I gotta stand up to see it. The Element Encyclopedia of Magical Creatures. So it's a magical creature encyclopedia. I'm going through the entries alphabetically, choosing the first one in each letter. So we're on D, Da, that's the first entry under D. And just illustrating the alphabet. And then my intention is to start over again at A, but do the second entry in the series. But we're only 4 in, A, B, C, D. So we're going to see what we can accomplish today. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to finish this today. There's not too much left to do. Just a little bit of cleanup on the lines and moving the letters that I wrote. I like to make them nice and centered. And here, when I scanned it a little too close and I chopped off the W, so I'm going to have to redraw that little bit of W. And then we will put it into postcard format for Patreon awards. Yay! And if that only takes, say, the first hour of this 2-hour stream, then I'll go ahead and start on the next Maginaturalist sketchbook piece. Yeah, well, I'll think about it. I'm thinking of either doing the next Maginaturalist sketchbook piece or starting work on what I really want to do. I haven't done one in a while because I spent so much time on my Seasonal Griffin series for the past, I think it took 2 or 3 years to get the Seasonal Griffin series done. I haven't made a Christmas card in a while, and I have been on and off. I don't make one every single year, but for a long time, ever since I was in high school, I have made my own Christmas cards and sent them out to people. So I'd really like to make a new Christmas card illustration. So I might start on that, but it would be nice, since Inktober isn't over yet, to continue working on ink illustrations. So I'll think about it. I don't have to make a decision yet because I got to finish this up. Okay, so I'm rearranging my workspace a little bit. I placed my keyboard and my mouse over to my right. I have 2 long tables set up here, and it's in an L shape. and I'm sitting in the crook of the L. So now I've drawn down my big walk-home tablet. It's one of those tablets where it's the screen. You draw directly on the screen. It's the best. So now I think what I'm going to do is just do a little cleanup work. So I'm going to get plain old white and a basic brush. I do want it to have, so hard round pressure sides, that's what I want. And I'm going to make sure, sometimes depending on which brush I choose, the flow will go down to 90%. I don't always remember to fix that, but I like the flow to be at 100%. So everything looks good. Opacity 100, flow 100, and then we've got it respecting the pressure that I use with my stylus here. This is a little bit big though for the kind of cleanup I want to do, so we're gonna, yeah, that's probably good. So I'm just looking for areas like this, where when I inked I just went a little bit outside the lines. Here I think I'll keep, because this could just be considered part of the texture of this tree. Right here is a little bit of leftover blue. To get rid of the blue digitally, I just turn it gray first. Completely desaturate the image. Here I'll get rid of these because this palm frond is supposed to be in front of the one that's sticking out here. So we want to emphasize that by getting rid of these little bitty lines that are sticking out too far. If it was the other way around, if this was actually supposed to be in front of this, then I would actually keep those, because that would emphasize that. There's a little spot right there. So I'm just looking for all kinds of tiny little spots to clean up. In fact, I think I'm going to... Nah, it's too close. I was going to go 200%. Never mind. Not 200%. It's too big. Okay. Looking around for more... Yeah, there's some little tiny spots. I wonder if actually, now that I've started doing this, it would be easier on me if I pull the lines out first. Because then it will be more obvious. If I put a stroke effect on, it will be more obvious that there's some stuff coming out. So let's do that. Lifting back up my giant tablet. And I need my keyboard back and my mouse back. So I'm going to go to my favorite tutorial site. I have this bookmarked because it's the best. It is Extracting Scanned Line Art. I'm waiting for this to load. Okay. So it's, I'll just bring this over here to show. It's this Clip Studio tutorial. I always use it, in fact. I'll share this in the chat. Boom. So if anybody else wants to do this, here's this awesome tutorial. So I can't see the chat for a second. Doesn't look like there's anyone in here with me, so hopefully it'll be all good. Anyone who has watched my streams before knows that I just can't quite remember the whole set of steps without following this tutorial. I always miss something. I don't know what the deal is. So, let's see. This has Clip Studio Paint, Paint Tool Sci, and Photoshop, so I always have a little bit of trouble picking out. Here we are. Extracting Line Art, Photoshop. So, we're going to select all. Oops, let me make sure I'm actually on Photoshop when I do that. Select all. And then cut. Then what do? Make a new channel. So I'm going to go in my channels tab. Do this little plus is a new channel, alpha 1, yes. And then paste. Okay. Then we select load selection. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Load selection. And there's some specific options we're supposed to have checked. We do want this inverted. Then the rest is good. Okay, and then click OK. And there, as you can see, the marquee went around the lines instead of around the whole outside of the image. Now we create a new layer from the layer panel, so plus, and then edit fill. Contents we want black. We just want it to be filled with black. And then preserve transparency should be off. Good. Click OK. Boom! Hooray! Okay, so we can deselect. We can delete this layer that's now empty. And then we still have this background layer that's turned off that hasn't been edited at all. So just in case for some reason something goes horribly wrong with this. But now I shall call this lines. And I can close my tutorial. Move my mouse and keyboard back over to my right. And pull the tablet back down. Today I tried turning on the light on my Aoife puppy cam. That's the top right puppy cam. I hadn't wanted to turn it on because I didn't want to disturb her by having the bright light in her face. But she doesn't really seem to care, and it looks so much better. Like, you can actually see her instead of this like murky purple hazy thing. Okay, so now I'm going to add a background layer because it's hard to see what's going on here with this checkerboard. I like to make it sort of a mid-tone. Do fill. Boom. There we can see that nicely. But it's a little easier on the eyes because it's not such a harsh contrast. Black and white is it's hard to look at for a long time. It's literally bright light shining in your eyes when you're looking at a monitor like this, when you're working on a monitor. Now, I'm going to go to layer and add a stroke style. This will help pick out any, so as you can see, clearly illustrates, before I could even say it, this helps show little specks that you otherwise wouldn't see. And I like to make it a crazy, crazy color so that it really stands out and there's no mistake. So now I actually will go in 200%. I'm going to take the eraser now. Before I was using a white brush, but now this is empty pixels except for stuff that I'm erasing. So look at, there was just one like right in the middle here, one there. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller. Oh, and it's not even on pressure size. There we go. This blue actually looks really nice on the gray. I did not pick it for aesthetic purposes. I was just like, this is the closest color that's really bright and neon. It actually looks really cool. When I'm looking over here in the navigator, it looks pretty awesome. So most of these little specks, especially along the sides here, are just remnants from where I removed the blue lines, and they didn't 100% cleanly remove because I didn't want to lose other areas where the ink wasn't quite as dark as thicker areas, and I was losing some ink. In particular, it was here. So you can see all these little tiny specks. They were getting lost when I turned the contrast up super high. So I decided to do it this way, clean up the remnants of the blue lines, so that I wouldn't lose those really super thin black lines. I often think how others may not think this is necessary process, that it was basically invisible until I put this stroke on it, but this is my art, so I am going to do it how I like, in a way that makes me feel satisfied. That's what makes my art unique anyway. Just doing things the way I want. I like having it nice and clean. That doesn't mean I don't like texture or anything like that. But something like the leftovers from lines that I was trying to remove and intended to remove from the beginning. To me, that just feels lazy to leave that. I still remember my high school art teacher taught me about craftsmanship. Well, she taught the class about it. That was a thing she graded on, and I had never heard of that before. Like, of course, I knew what the word was, but the idea of somebody caring about it was new, and that stuck with me ever since. Like, it's not like I'm afraid of it or anything like that, but it just made such a strong impression. And I feel like the art I like the most has good craftsmanship. That's what this is about to me. Paying attention to the details. And there's so much going on in here in this palm tree. It's actually pretty hard to spot all the little specks. To spot the specks. Zoomed in double like this, it's kind of hard to see what's what, so I'll probably continue working on the cleanup of lines that went too far into one another and stuff, instead of just this blue area. Well, it's no longer blue. It's confusing because I chose blue for my outline. The stuff that was originally blue colored pencil that I'm now cleaning up, that's my focus right now, but if I notice an area that is more about making the black lines more easy to understand visually or something like that, then I will hit that too. Might actually add some black in certain areas, like right here. This is meant to look like it matches with this line, but it gets all small right here, and that doesn't really feel like it matches. That'll be a next step. Right now, we're just doing cleanup. I think I erased a little bit too much right there. There we go. Let's save real quick. Hadn't saved yet today. just realized there's some areas I'd like to thin out. So this is an area where there were lots of blue lines, and it's hard to decide what to erase because there's so much going on that I want to keep, but there's so much of that leftover blue line right here that it makes it look like a line happening, and I don't want that. So clean up enough that that distracting vertical line disappears. A little bit too much right there. I guess I'll keep that part. That's a lot better. I'm gonna get like right in between. Trying to use the lightest possible touch. That's probably good. That looks a lot more horizontal now. So I want these to look like waves on the sea. Having that weird vertical line does not lend to that. There's just so much going on here. I think it's fine to just leave that. Let's move down. I was thinking of getting rid of this, but it kind of follows along with this, so I don't know. What if I take the effects off? Yeah, I guess we'll clean it up. It's so tiny. There's a little bit in between these two lines, but they're so close together, I'll just leave that part. Whee! We made it down to the bottom on one side. Oh, here a little bit. Almost done with the bottom. And we're gonna go up, finish the whole rest of the right side. These little jumbly areas are especially difficult to pick out what is just remnants of the blue pencil and what is ink that's just very thin. Here's a lot easier. You can just see this string of spots. Tackle those. Whee! Oh yeah, that string goes straight up this whole tree trunk. This is just like on the left side of the image where I don't want this extra vertical line here. At least this one matches a little better with what it's cutting through because it's a tree, so it almost looks like it's supposed to be there. Oops, I cut that one really thin, but I guess it looks alright like that, so I'll leave it. Since they're blue, they look like little bubbles floating up. These extra spots on the side. Oh, there's a lot here inside of Dot's body. if in future it would be helpful if I actually did erase some. Try to erase the blue pencil and then see what was left. If it removes digitally easier. But the whole point of doing this technique is so that I don't have to erase, so I don't really want to do that. But I guess I'm erasing now, so it's, it'd be a good experiment for next time. Then again, these ones on the side, I draw in pen on purpose. Blue pen, light blue. So that if I erase the sketch, then the guidelines for the size of the format don't go away because they're in pen. So maybe it doesn't make a difference. Because it's not really the pencil ones, I'm realizing, that are being left over so much as the pen ones. The pen lines. Oh, we're back at the top. Yay! Okay, I think that's good. I'm going to turn the effects layer off. But I want to now do cleanup in a different sort of way, which is looking at the overall effect of the lines. The thing that I started with today before I remembered, oh, I can move the lines onto their own layer. Things like, should this line hang over this other line or should I erase it? So right here's a great example. I think this one should be erased because this is meant to be the top of this palm frond, so there shouldn't be anything sticking out here. Before I was just going around the image counterclockwise. Now I'm looking at shapes. So right now I'm looking at the palm tree, the top of the palm tree. How's that working? Are the lines telling the story that I want them to tell, or are they sort of getting in each other's way? Like here, there's crisscrossing. That shouldn't really be happening because these palm fronds are not translucent. It's just that there's a lot of them. So it's hard when this was drawn only at 4 by 6 inches in size. It's hard to keep the lines straight always. So we'll just do the little cleanup work here. And that really lets you feel free to ink away and be creative and make marks that you don't necessarily want to keep in the end. It's nice to be able to do that because you never know what marks you make when you feel free that you wouldn't make if you felt like, oh, I have to get this perfect right now. There's no turning back. There's nothing I can do. For me, this is just as fun as the original drawing, too. I've always loved editing. Actually, I think I love editing more than the original creative effort. Because there's so much uncertainty with the original effort that sometimes it's stressful. When you're editing, there's already stuff set in place. There's less to think about. And now you're just sort of making it nice. Like I said, cleaning it up. I like how that leaf is looking. Palm frond. So I erased that one a little bit more than I wanted. This is an especially good area to clean up a bit because it's really hard to tell exactly what's going on. In fact, it looks like right here I've got no line here, so I'm going to have to add a line one way or another. Either add another frond coming down, which I kind of like that idea because this looks really thin and sad. So if we could put a little bit more leaf here. So I'm going to take my black and what do I do? Pencil? I think that's the one I usually use. Oh, flow is so low. It's because it's pencil. I want the flow to be up. A little too thin. Okay, let's see. It's pretty nice. Oh, happy HB. Let's look at this one. Yeah, I might use this one. Just to try to get a little texture in there. Of course, it's not going to be the same, but there's a little bit of texture. I'm going to erase this line too. Alright, let's add a little bit more black to this line on doll so that it looks more consistent showing through these fronds. Alright, maybe not taking it so far down, but I want to take this frond a little bit farther down. There's so much black, and it's not. I wonder if I should add another bit of frond here or here. I think I will. Which means we will erase this part of doll. I'll add another one in here too. It's hard to remember exactly where I drew. That's the precise reason why I want to add a little bit more, because it's kind of, not kind of, it's quite visually confusing right here in this little section. I'm going to strengthen this frond. Let's see what it looks like overall effect. Still a lot going on in this little section. Oops, wrong tool. Wanted the eraser. Let's see what happens if I erase down some of these lines. They're all ending right at the same point. I feel like it'll look nicer if there's a little more variety. Whew. My shoulders are getting really tight because I'm focusing so hard. Still got 7 minutes until break times. I'm gonna take a second and stretch my arms up and back. Tell my shoulders to relax. Okay. Oops. Once again, wrong tool. I think actually I did want that, but I forgot that I wanted to connect these two. Eva's barely in the camera. Just see her 3 feet. Let's look what that looks like. Also, let's save. Haven't saved in a little while. Yeah, that looks much better not having them all at the pretty much exact same height. I'm just looking at the overall effect of the tree in general. It's pretty good. Right here it's a little extra dark, so let's take a little bit away from here. A little bit too much ink here. That's much better. Let's save. Okay, let's move on to some other fronds. We've been working on the right side of this tree. Let's work on the left a little bit. How the ink. So I used a pen. It's basically just a dip fountain pen. So it's a fountain pen nib, but it's a dip pen. And it's not very flexible, so you don't get that much variety in line weight. So it's really hard to make a nice tapered tip to a line. So some of these I'm just cleaning up. Just so the overall effect of the palm tree is to be part of the scenery and not to take too much attention onto itself, because this scene is meant to show off Da, and the palm trees are just here to show that Da exists in a specific place and is not just sort of there. I think I'm done with the palm tree. Okay, let's look at Da crossing the scene. This part of Da, not the whole part. Not the whole body, we're just going to focus on this top part. And I think what I want to do is add a cute shiny to the eye. This one will make it cute. Though, maybe I'll bring it a little bit farther inside the eye. Right there. Oh, look how cute. Oops. Also, I feel like cleaning up a little bit inside of here. One pixel's too small. Let's go with 4. That'll be good. There's this gray stuff here, probably left over from the blue pencil. And then the eye itself could be a bit rounder. That's better. The eye is so important, even though it's such a small part of the scene. We humans naturally look for faces, so plus I placed it right here on the third line. Rule of thirds, so it's just natural, and there's like nothing around it, so even though it's so small, I still want to put a lot of effort into it. So actually, I'm going to make this shiny on it a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Okay. Now I shall go back to examining the overall look of the lines. It looks pretty good up here. Maybe we'll just smooth that right there. So let's look down the trunk of this tree, this palm tree. Follow this down. Ah, here's a spot. So this is meant to be on top of here, and yet there's a line sticking out as if you can see through X-ray. Follow it down further. Oh, that looks pretty good. So now we'll examine this scene here on the ground. We can take a little bit of this. I think I meant this to be some shadow. Let's thin it out just a bit. And these, I realized after I drew them, or after I had started drawing some of them, that these are actually fallen palm fronds. At first I thought they were grasses when I was looking at my reference image for this scene. So I'm going to treat these similarly to how I did the palm fronds that are still attached to the trees. There's some little bits of ink that I thought I would keep, but now that I don't have that blue outline on it, I don't want it. Or did I just say that wrong? There were some that I thought I would keep, and now I don't want to keep it. I don't know if I said that wrong. Here's a line. I think this is meant to be a line off of Daw, but it's coming through onto the tree. Oh, it's break time. All right. Ah, there, that's good. Okay, it's break time. Hooray! Time to get up, walk around, stretch, get some water. I hope everybody else will take the opportunity to do so. I am going to turn on my Be Right Back sign, and I will be back in about 5 minutes. Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you had a great break. I did. I had a nice little snack, a nice little stretch. Got some water. Actually feeling kind of thirsty still, so I'm going to drink a little bit more water. Alright, back to work. So I was tidying up this ground area. I guess I'll just leave that little part. A little bit more separation here. I'll definitely need to go through with my stroke layer turned back on, because all this erasing is bound to have left some stray pixels. But I won't worry about that until I'm done with the whole scene. And that'll be the last little bit of cleanup before we work on centering these words and fixing this W that I cut off with the scan. Okay, let's move up to this mid-ground tree. It's a big jumble here in the middle, but I think that's okay, just to leave it like that. So this is supposed to be a sketchbook series, so it doesn't have to be perfectly clean. Okay. Now I'm going to focus on, oh, shall I do the C or shall I do dot? Let's do the C first. Like right here is an extra big dot. Let's just make it smaller so it's more similar to the ones next to it. Sort of like hanging edges. think we're all good though. Alright, now let's look at Da. We're going to start at the tail and work our way around. Well, I've been saying this before. What's tail and what's body and what's neck? And, well, the head is the only part that seems different on a snake. So, anyway, we're going to start at the tip of the tail and work our way all the way along the body. This is that part where I wanted to actually add some black. I don't actually like this pencil. I'm going to go back to this regular. There, it's better. I'm adding black because I want it to look like the body is continuing behind, but the way that line was sort of rounding right before it met the palm tree trunk broke that illusion. There's another spot where I can add a little bit more. Oops. Forgot which tool I was using. On here, it's not quite touching the horizon. This part of the body is supposed to be so far away that it's coming out beyond the horizon. So we definitely want this to meet the horizon line. Okay, I think that's all. But we're going to turn the effects back on. Yep, as you can see, there's tons of little specks left over. So one last round of cleanup. After that long session of tweaking lines. Now we've got to clean up the dust that's left over. I still think this blue looks really nice with the black and the gray. When I'm looking over here in the navigator. Just realized I did not clean this frond up as much as I did the others. So let's do that real quick. And that's better. Back to looking for specks. Okay, I think that's everything for this step. Now let me see something. Did I make this image 4x6? Whoa, 9x14. Should I change the canvas size? It's gonna be bigger. Made the image 4x6, but then I write at the top and bottom, and so that makes it a slightly longer than 6 inches. Maybe more like 4x7. I don't remember what I did with the previous images. I'm gonna open one. So let's see, visual art, artwork, Maginaturalist 3. Let's see what I did here. Yeah, it's just whatever. It's not a particular size. Okay, that's fine. So we can close this. So we can turn this effects off. Where I wrote DAW so high up and the image ends right about here. Well, from side to side, I think it's all right. I guess I would like to center it a little bit more. So I'm going to select just the drawing, hopefully. Trying just to select the drawing, not the letters. And see if I can center just this. Oh goodness, because I'm on background layer. Whoopsie. Okay. Try this. The lines layer. This is what we want. And center. Wow. It moved everything, but whatever. Okay, how do I deselect? What I've got to do is move this onto a different layer. Oops, it's not tall enough. Okay, we are going to cut and then paste, special paste in place. We'll call this doll. And then we're going to move the bottom stuff onto its own layer too. Cut and edit, paste, special, paste in place. West Africa. I don't need to write the whole thing, just want it to reflect what the general idea is so that I can remember what the layer is. So now I want to center. I'm actually considering whether I want to cut down the size of my canvas, but I suppose I don't need to do that yet. What I want to do with the doll right now is just center it. So we're going to control, we'll just select all with my little shortcut button there and then center that. So now this is centered on the page, looks nice. We'll do the same thing with this West Africa layer. And actually, I don't want to open this again. Yeah, I do want to change this a little bit. So deselect that. So first, West Africa, the actual words I wrote here are pretty low compared to the date and the time of day. So I just want to scooch these up so they're more in line. And I think their placement left to right is fine. So we'll deselect that. And then morning is actually pretty good. This seems to be about along the same line here, and then this little space from the end of the word to the end of the image. It seems to be about the same as West Africa here. I mean, maybe West Africa scoot in a little bit. What I'm more concerned with is how big a space there is between the date and the time of day versus how small the space is between the location and the date. So I'm going to move that next. Try to get a little bit more evenly spaced. And as I'm always reminding myself, this is meant to be a sketchbook, so it doesn't have to be perfectly spaced. But I don't want it to be distracting. I don't want it to be so far off. Like West Africa was way over here, cut off of the page, so that definitely needed to change. And I'm gonna zoom in now, do what I've been talking about from the beginning, fix this W that's cut off. So just gonna take this pencil brush and fill that in so that it looks like it was written at the same time. When I noticed it, I was like, oh man, I don't want to have to scan the whole image again just for this, so I didn't. Now I just want to clean this up. It looks a little fuzzy because of the pencil brush. There. That looks better. Save. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, Da is sitting way, way, way up high. Oops. Why did that happen? I just wanted to press down on... Oh, I was not on the right tool. I have to be on the move tool to use the D-pad. Or not D-pad. This is not a gaming controller. It's my keyboard. The arrow keys. The D-pad. I'm looking at the spacing between the bottom of the drawing and the top of the words that are at the bottom versus the space between the bottom of the words that are at the top of the drawing and the top of the drawing. I think this is pretty close, so I'm going to leave that there. But I have noticed something that's bothering me. These lines are cut off very sharply, so I want to round them a little bit so that it doesn't look digitally cut off. Oops, I'm not on the right layer. I want it to look like the sketch just ended here. If I'm remembering correctly, the reason why I cut them off like this was because it was easier just to cut these off than to clean up all the leftover blue lines. So that was the reason why. So now I'm just trying to give them little organic tips. They're not quite the same as one another, because right now they all have this same hard edge, ends exactly the same spot. There, that's much better. Now I'm looking at the overall effect, and I want some to be a little shorter than others, but it definitely looks much more like these just, that's where the Maginaturalist stopped drawing the line instead of... She then edited her sketch in Photoshop after she got home from her adventures. That's not the story I'm trying to tell. There's a couple real big lines here. I think I actually want to bring back some ink. looks better. Minus it and get a look at it. It's still a little too even. When I look at the sides, look how different these are. Some are like way out here and it dips back in. Wee. So let's maybe extend some. I'm going to take the opportunity to try to look for a different, maybe this charcoal pencil brush. I'm not quite getting the texture I want. The flow to be all the way up. Oh, this is pretty good. Maybe I should be using this charcoal brush. Yeah. Still not quite the same. It's a little bit harder than... So what I was noticing was the edges, the ends of the lines along the edges, left and right, tended to grow longer and shorter in groups, not just some random long line. So that's what I'm doing now. Let's make them grow in groups. Erase a little bit more. Now let's look at the overall effect. Oh, it's much better. Much more like what already naturally happened. Sometimes my stylus stops being detected, and that's happened like 3 times so far this stream. It just got stuck over here, and then I have to move the mouse to get it to respond again. Anyway, it's looking much closer to what I'm seeing over here, and like right here. Yeah, we'll call that good. So let's save. And now, let's trim. So I think I can put my stylus down. Might be done with it. I'm going to lift up my tablet monitor so that it's just a monitor now. I mean, I can still use it as a tablet even if it's straight up and down, but I'm bringing my keyboard back in front of me and my mouse. They've been over to my right pretty much the whole stream. Okay. Now, let's trim this canvas. I think the spacing is good on the left, the right, and the bottom. I kind of want to trim these lines here, but we'll think about that later. But the top, there's way too much extra. Look at all that extra space. We don't need that much extra space. So I'm just trying to get the same amount of space at the bottom and the top. Just eyeballing it. That sort of little bit of inconsistency through eyeballing it rather than measuring the space and making it exactly the same at the top. I think that actually lends to the sketchbook effect. So, is that good, or should I bring it down a little bit more? I kind of like it like that. I like having a little bit of breathing room up here. Yeah, let's save that. Now, well, I think I'm actually done editing this. So let me get a... Actually, never mind, I won't do that. I'll just turn the background white So we'll just fill it with white. So this is more the effect it'll be when I print it out as Patreon rewards. I do kind of want to pull these lines back in a little bit, but maybe I will use a guide here. So I'll put a guide right there, and I'm trying to grab the guides, but it didn't grab it. And a guide right here. This is where the blue lines were, and I drew outside of that. Yeah, actually up here is even farther away. I'll leave it like that then. Okay, so get rid of those guides. So next, I think it'll be, well, I suppose let's just save this as a various image types. Well, I saved them pretty much all as JPEG, but let's save copies of this. So first, we're going to save just a JPEG full size. Gotta make sure this ICC profile is checked. Click Save. And this is useful if I just want to make a print really quick or something like that. Or put it in my art portfolio. Oh, dang it, I named it copy. It automatically puts that copy there at the end of the file name. I understand why, so that people don't accidentally save over files that they want to keep. But I don't like it. I always change the file name, but anyway. I mean, I didn't then, but I didn't need to because it was .jpeg, so there was no other file named that. Anyway, so next we're going to save a 4-web version, and what I do for that is put my custom shape, which I might need to import because I had to reinstall Photoshop a while ago. Ugh, I don't know where it is. Hold on. I hate that I have to do this. Hopefully it's under text stuff. Adobe Photoshop custom files. Yes. Okay. Studio Mikarts custom shapes. Okay. It's annoying that I have to do this. See previous stream videos to see why I have to reinstall Photoshop with my preferences erased. I have to do it that way. I won't explain it again. It'll just get me all riled up. And that's not what my streams are about. So I'm just going to go to desktop, career files, text stuff, Adobe Photoshop custom, and custom shapes. Boom! Okay. So what I'm trying to do, first open this, it's big enough. I put my little logo on here with the seal. I try to find a nice spot for it to go where it can be obvious, but not taking away from the overall image. Wow. I wish it wouldn't do this. It automatically opens this. No! Okay, this is yet another thing. Okay. How do I put this? I just want it to be small and to the side, not biggie. How can I minimize? No, that's not it. Expand. Collapse to icons. Oh, but it still binds this property. Auto collapse iconic panels. I don't know what that is. Why? Why does it do this? And I don't need this, so close this tab group. What I want is this to be a single icon. I don't understand how to make it do that. Enable narrow options bar. Please let that be it. Ah! It's not it. What is it? Auto collapse. large tabs. Whoa, that changed tough. What? Oh. That makes such a small difference. Dang. Okay. Show on shape creation. So I don't mind that happening, but I would like this to be small and not... Oh, look, I did it. Yay, I just had to drag this. Oh. It's so annoying that I have to change this every time. That I have to reinstall Photoshop and I have to set this all back up every time. Okay, so what I want to do is take the stroke off, and the fill I want to be black. To start, we'll see what that looks like. So it's just sitting in here. Part of the lines, so I could put it in the sky. It's a little more obvious this way, but also doesn't look bad. I could also just sort of sit it in the corner, which is kind of what I usually do, but it does cover up a lot of interesting lines that I've made, so I wonder if it might be better if I actually do put it up there, and we'll just make it a little smaller. Oh, I know. Let's put it in the top corner. I like putting it in a corner. If it can fit in a corner nicely. Yeah, that's not bad. So then it's sort of lining up with the tree. Right here, this space, even though it's empty, has so much energy. So putting this logo in here takes a huge amount of attention away from our subject, which is Da here. I'm actually going to make this a little bit smaller. So having it follow the energy of this line here and filling this space, that's not as intrusive. Let's now, I guess we can save it like this first. Then I can just turn on and off this layer. That's fine. But the next thing, which I only want to save when I save the JPEG, I don't want to save it in this main Photoshop file, is change the image size. Let's see, for something this big, I think I've been doing 1,000 pixels on the longest side, but I'm going to check. So the last one I did, yeah, I did 1,000 pixels on the longest side. So we're going to do that here too. So this is just for posting on social media and DeviantArt. So I want it to be smaller. I want it to have my logo on so that people would be able to recognize it and be like, oh, and they could even search for this, see Studio Mikarts, and they could Google it and find more of my work. Wow, this is only a 33.33% here, but it looks really cute like this. It looks like a nice stamp or something. Okay, so we're going to save a copy. Save a JPEG. I can't believe there's only 10 minutes left. I thought for sure I would finish this in the first hour and then I'd be like trying to start a new project, which is a little tough to switch from digital to physical media. It's easier to switch from physical to digital media in the middle of a stream. Okay, so we're going to call it the same thing as the other one we've already saved, but we're going to add for web onto the end. ICC profile is checked, so we can click save. Boom. But we want to take away the image size change. I do not want to keep that, and in fact I'll turn this seal off too. And I'm going to save the file now that I've undone those things. So next, I've saved the files that I would need for sharing this. So let's work a little bit with our last 9 minutes on getting this into postcard format for Patreon. So what I'm going to do is open my last postcard, September's, which was the Summer Griffin. And now actually I'm going to open another one that is upright so that I know which way to turn it. Whoop. Turn on the front. Okay, so we turn it this way with the top on the left. I think what I'll do is just create a, there's some way to do it, create a duplicate file. I feel like I recently had trouble with this, creating a duplicate file, because it used to be that you could just right click here. Oh, I think what it is it has to be its own thing like this, and then you can do it. That's so weird. I don't understand that, but aha, I remembered. So now we're going to put this back up here, and I want the copy, so we can just close this one and make a duplicate file just so that I have no worries whatsoever about, oh, what if I save it like this? Because what I'm going to do now is flatten the image. There. So as you can see, all that data disappeared, and I don't want to accidentally save that with all the data gone. So that's why I'm making a completely different one. We're going to drag it over here, put it into the front folder, and we're going to transform it. Control T to transform. Let's start with 30%, and then turn it. We're going to hold down Shift so that when we turn it, it turns at specific hard angles. And now size it so it fits nicely in here. These blue lines, these blue guides are where I have a white layer. You can see white border, so that definitely nothing gets cut off. And as you can see, the G in morning is going to be cut off, so let's make it a little smaller so it's not. We'll hit enter, and then just tab this over. So some of the lines are going to be cut off here and there, but that's okay because that's just how the printer would cut it off anyway. So this just allows me to center the image as nicely as possible so that I know what's going to be cut off instead of leaving it up to the printer. So we can delete this layer. Oh, and before I do anything else, let's save it as a different file. So we're going to save as, take that file name, and then we'll change this. So this is 10 because it's for October. And it's just called, oh wait, put this whole name in there. Okay, Maginaturalist Sketchbook. And it's simply called DA. So postcard 2024 10 Maginaturalist Sketchbook DA. Okay, save. Yay! So we can close this. We don't need to save it. So we can actually delete these writing layers because they were for the previous rewards. So now the front's all good, and we still have 5 minutes, so let's work on the back. There's not too much to do. You just change this name here to DA, and then we will delete that. Boom. And I don't have to change the year or anything for another couple months. So let's save this. Awesome. So the writing layer, I won't do this on stream. It'll probably take me more than the less than 5 minutes that we have left. But what I do is turn on this writing guide that I made is just a bunch of lines here so that I can write neatly. Otherwise, if I just have this white space, I always end up not just writing at an angle, but some lines, I think I usually start writing smaller and then get bigger, or it's vice versa, but then the size of my letters is also different. I think what happens is that I start writing and I'm just writing freely, and so my letters are bigger because I'm like, yeah, look at all this space I have, and then I get to the bottom and I'm trying to finish my thought in writing, and it's like, oh no, we're running out of space. And this area right here, you're actually not supposed to write anything down here because this is where the barcode goes for the USPS, and that barcode is what sends it to its destination. It just keeps getting scanned at each location until it's finally routed to the correct address. And so you don't want to write down here, so then it's actually even smaller amount of space than you think to write. Now that I'm saying that, it would actually be a really good idea to just delete this. I don't know if I still have the guide. Oh, it wouldn't be on the front. There was a guide. Oh yeah, this guide I got a long time ago. So here it has barcode area. You can see it was from Vistaprint. This is a completely different size card though, because this is like the edge of the card. But basically that's what informed this. So while I'm thinking about that, let's just erase that line, and then it will be even more clear to future me that I should not be writing there. It's kind of fun to clean these up, actually. I don't need to do it, but it's fun to clean this. Whee! And I won't be writing up here, although this does help me see how tall, so I'll leave that. I don't think I would ever need the lines over here, but I'll keep them. You never know. This is where I write the addresses. So I write the messages on Photoshop, and then I turn this writing guide off. So of course I use a different layer, and then the writing guide I can just turn out on and off. But then I print them and handwrite the addresses for each individual patron. So there's digital handwriting over here, and that's the same message to everyone, and then there's manual handwriting over here. Although it's manual either way, because manual comes from manus, which means hand. Anyway, you know what I mean. I'm using an actual real pen over here on paper. Okay, so let's save this then. Yay! It's a little bit early, but I don't have anything more. There's definitely, if I try to switch over to, I was going to say live action, to physical media streaming, the stream would be over. So let's end a couple minutes early. I actually do want to get these sent out tomorrow, so I'm not going to raid today. I am going to just end my stream and get to work finishing these Patreon rewards so that they can go in the mailbox tomorrow and be sent off. They definitely won't arrive before October is over, but they will be sent before October is over. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you had a great time. I will be back tomorrow. I'll be starting a new Maginaturalist sketchbook piece. We'll find out what the first entry is for, let's see, A, B, C, D, E. What is the first entry in my Magical Creatures Encyclopedia for the letter E? Ooh, I have no idea. So I hope to see you then, same time as usual. That's all for me today. Thank you for watching.